It's straightforward. If you want to surpass 99% of people worldwide, you must be ready to do things that 99% simply won't do. You're a marvel, my friend. Now, I know that sounds obvious, but there's been a wave of memes and videos claiming they can make you more successful than 99% of the population, and it all boils down to the same old nonsense. Set goals, be disciplined, cut out distractions, or try something called monk mode. Are we serious right now? Goals, guys, goals, that's what made Bill Gates who he is, right? He had goals. My mailman has goals, my housekeeper is disciplined. Everyone tries to avoid distractions. These aren't things that 99% of people fail to do. By the way, have you noticed the most successful people? There's nothing remotely monk-like about them. Because let's be honest, if something is common, like hundreds of YouTube videos telling you to do it, then by definition it won't make you more successful than most people. To outshine everyone else, you must do what no one else does. Here's a tough truth. Productivity hacks, morning routines. Most of that stuff doesn't really matter. To prove this, I'll share some everyday habits of the world's most successful people in history, starting with myself. When I launched my business, I woke up around 11 a.m., grabbed a Red Bull and Reese's Cups, then stayed in bed for another 2 hours working on my laptop. Ambition tasted like that. I did this for 3 years and built a six-figure business in my mid-20s. In the first half of this video, I'll explain what really makes someone more successful than 99% of people on this planet. But before you get too excited, no, I won't go there. The second half will explain why maybe you don't actually want to be more successful than 99% of people. Because, like many important things, success is not simple, it's pretty complicated. So let's dive in. To truly be more successful than most, you need to 1. Have a contrarian idea, 2. Be right about it, and 3. Execute massively. Let's start with the first point. Most people never come up with a contrarian idea in their entire life. Honestly, most just follow the crowd, agreeing with whatever their friends say is cool this week. But there's a small group who think independently, developing contrarian ideas or even adopting some wild theories. That leads to point 2. Most contrarian ideas are actually wrong, horribly, embarrassingly wrong. This is the hardest part of achieving crazy success. You have to disagree with everyone and still be right. And even if you're right, you must be willing to execute, to put your ass on the line. When we admire super successful people, we often focus on execution, their morning routines, supplements, etc. Execution is easy to see and copy, so it gets most attention. But it's not what defines the scale of success. Steve Jobs wasn't Steve Jobs because he woke early and ate fruit. He was Steve Jobs because a full decade before anyone else, he believed computers would be everywhere, on every desk and in every office globally. And he was right. Warren Buffett, for example, goes through a McDonald's drive-thru every morning for a meal many of us would scorn. How's he not dead yet? Warren Buffett is Buffett because he consistently found valuable companies others dismissed as junk, bought them, then sat back eating McDonald's and drinking Coca-Cola for decades. Something most people aren't willing to do. Now he's the greatest investor ever. Execution is overrated. If I can find one thing that boosts my results by 100 times, the other 99 things barely matter. But people hate hearing this because it's incredibly hard to find that one thing with such impact. It almost doesn't exist. So instead, we make videos about morning routines and diets, as if eating the same pregame meal as Kobe Bryant would make you play like him. By the way, Kobe's usual pregame meal? Orange or grape soda and pepperoni pizza. Big Kobe fan here. Execution is necessary, but not enough. And 99% of advice out there is about execution. The hardest part of extreme success isn't working hard. Anyone can do that. It's being a right contrarian. Questioning common beliefs, seeing opportunities others ignore, holding unpopular views and sticking with them even when mocked. Remember, Steve Jobs had hordes of haters in the 80s and 90s. He was even ousted from his own company for being a difficult psycho. Seriously, just pause this video and appreciate this pizza. All major breakthroughs were once contrarian ideas. Everyone sounded ridiculous at first, and famous people called them crazy. Speaking honestly about my career, I've worked hard over 15 years, sold millions of books and thousands of courses, toured worldwide speaking multiple times. Yet 90% of my success came from maybe 2 or 3 right contrarian ideas at the right time, the biggest being writing The Subtle Art of Not Giving a FCK star. At the time, conventional wisdom said millennials and men weren't interested in self-help. But I found that was wrong. You just need to communicate differently. Everything else I've done is a footnote or continuation of that, or one or two other right contrarian choices I made. I believe this is true for most extremely successful people in any field. For example, Warren Buffett recently admitted that in 58 years managing Berkshire, most of his capital allocation decisions were just average. The big results came from about a dozen truly great decisions. That's mind-blowing. This guy has been doing this for 60 years and admits he made only about a dozen great calls. It's tempting to believe you know more than you do, that you found the secret to waking early, hitting the gym, running meetings better than anyone else. But probably you're just slightly above average, and it doesn't matter if you put butter in your coffee, use a standing desk, or Evernote instead of Google Docs. It's like rearranging furniture and claiming it's a better house. Don't believe me? Meet 100 successful entrepreneurs. I guarantee they're not in the gym at 4:30 a.m., nor meditating 2 hours daily. The real world is messier and a lot more fun. Winston Churchill basically won World War II sitting in a bathtub drinking scotch all day. Look it up. Or Thomas Edison, who worked days straight, sleeping only an hour a night in his lab. His secret? Cocaine. Not kidding, that's why we have the light bulb. Speaking of cocaine, let's discuss the downsides of extreme success, or why you might not want to outpace 99% of people. First, nobody likes contrarians. Many dream of huge success because they believe it will bring validation and approval they crave, but sadly, often the opposite happens. When I quit my job in 2008 to focus on my online business, everyone thought I was nuts. Half my corporate friends stopped hanging out with me. Some family probably thought I was a drug dealer. Who knows where that idea came from? Back then, no one understood digital marketing. They only saw I was broke for a long time, then suddenly showed up with internet money. I get their skepticism. When you go from a wrong contrarian to a right contrarian, it messes with everyone's minds. Extreme success only matters if your contrarian idea is meaningful. Ironically, it often only improves relationships that didn't need fixing. The second reason you might not want huge success is that to be right contrarian, you must be wrong contrarian many times. Most contrarian beliefs are wrong for good reason. People tried, failed badly, and moved on. This is tough, especially when young, because you might not realize how many of your contrarian ideas were once tried and failed by older generations. Spoiler, it's probably most of them. Finally, the most important point, extreme success won't make you happy. It amplifies who you already are and how you feel. Angry or depressed people become more so. Those with great relationships see them improve. Success shouldn't be the goal. You should chase your important, right contrarian idea because it matters so much you can't imagine not doing it. If you just want enough money for a nice car and to spray champagne on a bikini girl, that can be arranged, but that's more like 80% successful, not 99%. Instead of asking how to be more successful than 99%, ask why you want that. That's the question that will give you better answers. Before trying to become an insanely successful badass, slow down and make sure you're defining success the right way for you. That way you'll get much further. Music.